World Beyond World by teacher Myung. This passage is called How to Become Truth. Ever since I was a child, I had given much thought to the questions of where we come from, why we live, and where we go, but all to no avail. My father passed away when I was 9, and so it seems my fear of death had led me to think about these things. I continued to ponder about these questions later in my life, but there seemed to be no way to find the answers. In my 30s, I delved deeply into religious literature, but this, too, did nothing to satisfy my questions. So I decided I would meditate on them by myself someday. At the time, I was running a private educational institute, so I made up my mind to make some more money and in a year or two have a nice building constructed, and then afterwards I would go to the mountains, build a cottage near a stream, and seek enlightenment on the questions of our origins, why we live, and where our destination lies. Around the end of December 1995, I set off to Gaia Mountain. I planned to stay there until the beginning of the next year, hoping to abandon the life I had lived. Up until that point, my wife had shown no interest in such ponderings, but she had witnessed my struggling on the subject and had thus asked to come along with me on my trip. I refused, telling her that I myself had yet to become complete, and that going there together may be a distraction. But my wife was relentless despite my constant refusal. In the end, after giving the matter much thought, I realized that there would be no harm in her coming along. After all, what we were doing was seeking a way to become saints. Even though I had been meditating for 3 months prior to arriving at Gaia, and continued to do so at Gaia, I had yet to reach enlightenment. My wife, on the other hand, was able to reach enlightenment after 3 days and 3 nights. She was staying in the room adjacent to mine, and I could hear her joy. But she tried not to show it, in case I would be distracted by it. Initially, I did not feel very good about the whole situation, but then I thought it was great that at least one of us had achieved what we had come to achieve. It was then that I looked back on the life I had lived. I thought to myself that there could be no one more sinful than I, and that the notion of a horrible person like me becoming a saint would be laughable to the world. So I meditated diligently, ruthlessly eliminating myself again and again. And then one day, truth appeared. I realized that this truth was me, and I was able to meet the Jesus and Buddha of heaven, as well as the many saints. I realized that because I was truth, it had become my fate to teach this truth to the people of the world. So in June 1996, I gave up my business and starting in November of the same year, I turned my attention solely on teaching people truth. At first, I met with people once a month. Gradually, more and more people joined, and so our meetings became twice a month, then later 4 times a month. To date, over 100,000 people have practiced our meditation and have become enlightened of truth.